Alright, so in this chapter we are going to study about file and directory permissions, controlling access to file and directories. So access to files by users are controlled by this file permissions. And Linux file permissions are very simple, but they are very flexible, and according to the setting of these permissions, you can control who can be able to read your file, who can be able to write your file or execute your file. So each and every file or a directory, as we know that in Linux everything is a file, so each and every file has three categories of users to which the permissions will be applicable. First is the user or the owner who is creating the file, right? Second is the group. Usually it is the primary group of the user who has created the file. But it can be changed. We can create some more groups as we studied in the last lecture. We can set permissions for a particular group on a file, right? And the third is all others, all the other users on of the system who will not be able to, who are not a part of the group, and who is not the owner of the directory or the file also, right? So how can we view the permissions of a file or a directory? The simplest command is ls-l command. We studied this. ls working directory. The first field is, this is the field about permissions, right? So this field, first field, it is telling the type of the file. So where D is written, that means it is a directory, and blank hyphen means that this is a regular file, right? After that, the permissions of user, who is the owner, and group and others, that is given in three fields, right? So first, these three fields tell the information, tell the permissions of the owner on this file, right? After that, these three octets, they tell the permissions of the group, and then permissions of the others. Don't have write and execute permission. So these are the default permissions. I have not changed them yet. And some other commands are also there which will display the information about the permissions. For example, we have um, get facl command also. For example, if I create a new file here, I'm going to create a file by using touch command we can use. So touch and today. So this is the file we have just created. And if you want to view the permissions of this file, you can write get facl space name of the file or the directory. So when you press enter, it is displaying that name of the file is today, its owner is root, its group is also root, and user, which means the owner, he has read, write and execute permission, group has read and execute permission, and others have read and execute permission, right? So means I have logged in as root, so I am the creator of this file, right? So creator of the file is the owner of the file, and he has read, write and execute permissions on this file. And as this file is just created by this user and we have not changed any group, so this file belongs to its primary group of the user. So that is also root. So it is displaying root has read, write and execute permissions, and as a group it has read and write, execute permission, which obviously this permission will take the higher precedence, and others means whosoever is not root, he will be able to just read and execute the file, he will not be able to edit the file, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to create a scenario in which we have just created a directory, and suppose it is your personal directory. You want to set permissions in a way that you, being the creator of the directory, should be able to read, write and execute the directory. I'm going to explain what read, write and execute command means in case of a directory and in case of a file, right? So we want that in, in our folder we should have we should have access in such a way that we should have all the permissions on the folder, and a group, which is the group of my friends or so, or friends or family, they should be able to read and execute the folder, and others who are not a part of my family or friends and apart from me, they should not be able to do anything with the folder, right? So we will see the scenario. So first of all, I am going to add few friends in this machine. Suppose they are the users, right? So I am going to add a few users, friend 1, friend 2, friend 3, right? There are other persons also, friend 4, friend 5, right? I'm going to set their password also, friend 1, 1. I'm setting a very bad password, so it is displaying this error. 3, 3, 4, 4, 5. Alright, so 5 people are there, and I have added their passwords also, right? So now what I will do, I being the root, I'm going to create that my personal folder which I'm going to share with some of my friends, right? So that folder, I'm going to create in slash with the name my diary, right? So this is the folder I have just created. If I view the permissions, then my diary permissions are owner is root, because I am the owner, I have just created it. Group is also root. I have read, write and execute permission. Group has read and execute permission, and other have read and execute permission. So these are the default settings. And now what we want to do, we want to change the permissions in a way that my friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3, they should be able to read the folder and execute the folder, and others should not be able to do anything, right? So what this read, write and execute command means in case of a folder. So now, as root user, he has all the permissions on this folder. We are going to check that what read, write and execute permission means. So being the, if any person has read permission on a directory, that means he is able to view, he is able to list the contents of that directory, right? If a person has write permission on a directory, that means that person is able to create new subdirectories and subfiles in that directory. He's able to edit that directory, right? Execute permission means you will be able to enter into that directory by executing cd command. These are the permissions in case of a directory. This is what it means, right? So we are going to just verify it. So now I have the permissions, read, write and execute permission on my diary. So let's check them. I am trying to enter into my diary. I'm able to because I have execute permission, right? If I try to create something in this folder, so I'm going to create a file inside this. So this is for testing purpose. I'm able to ls, it is displaying the contents as well. So having read permission, I'm able to list the contents. Because I have write permission, I am able to create the file inside this directory. And because I have execute permission, I am able to enter into the directory, right? So now let's verify this thing for any other user who is not root. For example, my friend 3, my friend 4, and all the users, they come under others category for now, because owner is also root, group is also root. So each and every person who is not root, obviously root is just one, so that will come under others category, and they will have read and execute permission. Let's just check it. I'm moving to my home directory again. Now su is a command to switch the user. I can log out and log in again as any other user, or I can use su command to switch the user. So now I'm going to log in as friend 4, friend 4. So as this is root, so it is not asking for the password. Otherwise, when you are logging in for the first time, or you are an ordinary user and you want to switch to some other user, then in that case it is obviously going to ask for the password, and you need to fill the right password in order to log in successfully, right? So I have just logged in as friend 4, and currently I am in my home directory. You can test it. pwd, it is displaying /home/friend 4, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to test the permissions. So this comes under others category. Now I am trying to enter into this directory, which is slash my diary, which is obviously the diary of root user. So I have just executed this command, and I'm able to, because I have execute permission on the folder. On this folder I have execute permission. Who am I? Friend 4, right? Friend 4 comes under others category. So others had execute permission and read permission, so that is why I'm able to view the contents also. But if I try to create something in this folder, for example, I'm going to use touch command, and I want to create a new file. So it is displaying cannot touch new file, permission denied, right? So this is how the default permissions are working, right? So now what we want to set the permissions in such a way that owner of the directory should have read, write and execute permissions. A group of friends, they should have read and execute permission, and others should not have any permission, right? So to set these permissions, I need to log out and I need to log in as root again, right? So now I'm going to change the permissions. Before changing the permissions, I need to create a group, also group of friends, and I need to put some of the friends in that group also. So friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3 should have read and execute rights. So we are going to create that group. Group add space name of the group friends. Now friends group is created, but it doesn't have any members. So we are going to add friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3 in this group. For that we have usermod -g command. We studied this in the last lecture, last tutorial. So usermod -g, and then name of the group is friends, and friend 1 should be a part of it, friend 2 should be a part of it, and friend 3. Right? Now if you view the contents of etc group file, it will display friends is a group and that has friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3 members. Right. Now next task is to change the, now if I view the permissions, it is displaying my diary default permissions. Good. So the permissions which I want to set are read, write, execute, read and execute, and no permissions. And group members are friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3. So the friends group should have read and execute permission, but its group is root. So now we are going to change the group of this directory, ch grp, then friends space my diary. So now group is friends, means this file or the directory is owned by this user and this set of users. Good. Now this is not making any sense because group friends has read and execute permission, whereas others also have read and execute permission. So we need to set this permission 0. So chmod is the command to change the permissions. What are the ways to change permissions? One is the numeric way of changing permissions and second the symbolic way of changing permissions. We will do that one by one. So I'm going to change permissions by using symbolic method, in which I want to take away read and execute permission from the others. So if we want to change permissions of others, we will write O. If we want to change permissions of group, we will write G, and user, we will write U. If you want to take away any permission, if you want to revoke any permission, you will write minus. If you want to grant any permission, you will use plus. And whatever the permission you want to grant or revoke, R, W or X, you will specify along with it. Right? So others minus, others have read and execute permission which I want to take away, space, which directory I'm talking about, my diary. So O minus RX means others minus read and execute permission. Right? If you want to, this command can also be written, means some other examples are chmod. For example, you want to assign, you want to take away execute permission from user, you want to assign write permission to group, and you want to take away read and execute permission from others. So this can be also written like this, right? So O plus O minus G plus G minus U plus U minus R, W or X. So now if I view the permissions again, it is displaying directory is my diary, owner is root and owner has read, write and execute permission. Group is friends and group has read and execute permissions. Group has members friend 1, friend 2 and friend 3, and all other persons, all other users, they come under others categories and they don't have any permission. Right? So let's verify it. Su friend 2 logged in my home directory. Now cd slash my diary, I'm able to, because I'm one of the friends. ls, I'm able to, and if I want to create something here, permission denied, right? Now let's be friend 4 or friend 5 because that is in others category. Su in the home directory, right? So su friend 5 password. See, it is asking for the password because I was an ordinary user. You have entered the password. Now you are sitting in your home directory, home friend 5, right? Now if you want to enter into slash my diary, permission denied, ls my diary, permission denied. If you try to create something in this, permission denied. See, this is how permissions are working, and using this method you can be able to secure your folder, secure your files, and you can control the access to the persons whom you want to give the permissions. You can give the permissions whom you want to take the permissions from. You can take the permissions, means you can set the permissions according to your requirement. Second method of setting the permissions is the numeric method. Numeric method is very easier. Uh, what happens in that? One command is getFACL to view the permissions. Like if I write my diary, it is displaying the permissions. Second command is stat command. It is also used to display the whole statistics of about whole attributes about the directory. So it is displaying permissions are read, execute, and no permissions. And in numbers they have written 0750. Now this 750 thing, this is the permission, right? I'm going to display, I'm going to create a file first. This is a new file. So what happens, we know about binary 0 0 0 0 0. Now 0, this is for 1 in decimal, this is used to represent 2. So three things, read, write, and execute. So 2 raised to power 3 becomes 8. So execute and read, execute. These were the default permissions. Now if a permission is set, we are going to write 1 below that. If a permission is not set, then we are going to write 0. 1, 1, 1. These are the permissions of user. 1, 0, 1. Permissions of group. And 1, 0, 1. Permissions of others. So as we can see, 1, 1, 1 represents 7. Right? So 7, 101 means 5. 101 means 5. So permissions on the file are 755. These are the permissions of user, these are the permissions of group, and these are the permissions of others. Right? So 7, that itself defines that 7 is represented in binary as 111. Means read, write, and execute permission. All of them are set. If we say that group has 5 permissions, that means 5 is represented as 101. That means group has read and execute permission, no write permission. Right? So what we want to do, we want to set permissions as user should have read, write, and execute permissions, and group should have read and execute permission, and other should not have any permission. So how we can represent it? 1 1 1 1 0 1 0 0 0 means 7 5 0. So the command will be chmod. Either you can write chmod as we wrote chmod o minus rx space name of the directory. Is on what the permissions are already. You just need to set the permissions to 750. Means read, write, execute, read and execute, and no permissions. So you will just write 750 space name of the directory or the file, right? So this is the permission um, settings by using numeric method. If you want to set permissions in a way that user should have all permissions, because we want that owner should have all the permissions, and group should have just read permission, and other should not have any permissions. In that case means 111 100 and 000. So 740. Good. So now we will test it. The file or the directory, it was my diary. So get facl my diary. These are the permissions. For example, I want to set it to 740. So chmod 740 and name of the directory of the file. Oh, being friend 5, I'm trying to do this. So obviously it will not allow because you don't have the permissions. So you need to log out. Control D, back to friend 2, Control D, exit. Now chmod 740 and then the name of my diary. You can view the permissions by using getFACL command. So these are the permissions 7, 4 and 0. Get. So this is about user and file permissions, setting permissions on a file or a directory, controlling access. So we'll continue in the next lecture.